Yes. Okay. El Chipo Stinko, Frugal Quilter here. I'm not sure when I'm going to get started on a Dear Jane because I've got so much else going on. But I couldn't resist when one of my favorite people that I'm going to follow along with, I'm not going to really start the sewing until she starts, and then I'll follow along with her. I'm talking about so many whatnots, of course. And now, if you're somebody who has a busy life and etc., well, then go ahead and buy the kits that are being sold and all the little templates and all that good stuff. But if you just get a bit of a thrill and some giggles out of finding a way around the money culture, do this. Got me a cracker box. Saltine crackers, very good. And now when I was a kid, this was the only way you did stuff. And I was thinking, what I am going to buy is a package of construction paper that you can find in the school supplies aisle of the grocery store that kids use in school. And I was thinking, well, I do want to get a package of that so I can do some color planning with this stuff. But there are some pictures, if you go on and look in images for Dear Jane quilt blocks. Between all the people that are out there doing Dear Jane quilts, which are in the Dear Jane quilt, by the way, the designs are in the public domain as far as I know. I mean, they're just basic, you know, triangles and rectangles. Nobody has a copyright on, for example, the hourglass block that's in the middle of this, or the flying geese pieces that are there, or the half-square triangle. That's all open source. And Jane Stickle, the designer of the Dear Jane quilt, well, she made that quilt in 1863. She was bedridden in Vermont, and she wrote on the quilt that it was done in wartime, so she must have had probably had some family members with the Union Army that she was spending time worrying about while she was bedridden. And Vermont being Vermont, she had some long winters, so she spent her time making these itty-bitty squares. And now this is approximately the size. It's about a 4.5-inch square when it's finished, so I think most people are using charm packs for them. And when you've got this much detail in a 4-inch or 5-inch square, then, you know, these things are like half an inch. They're tiny, 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 you know, the size of my fingernail. This is actual size. Because I watched a bunch of videos by a bunch of different people. I started collecting up the ones that gave pretty clear instructions. And anytime you see the image of the block, of course, if you know how to measure out with a ruler, you can make your own templates. So I pulled a cracker box out of my recycling bin, and this is the A1. I'm going to do this. I'm mainly going to focus on row A, okay, and this is A1, which is just a pinwheel block with some additional embellishments around it, and then A2. Now, I'll give you a couple tips here. First thing, of course, is you want a nice square. And since I'm not using a rotary cutter or templates or anything. Don't have anything against them, but I'm just deliberately doing this as minimally as possible. So I got some ordinary scissors, cracker box, and the side of the box could provide a 4.5-inch square, so I measured that out. Now, in order to make sure you've got a real square and you're not like a 1/4 of an inch off on either side, what you do is you soften up the cardboard with your fingers to make it pliable. Then you fold it point to point. And any part that's off square, if any side of it is a little tilted or maybe just a tad too long, you trim it. Now you've got a perfect square. Okay? And then the next thing is you set up your center point. You do this for all the blocks. Do the same thing. You've got the right size perfect square. Now you want to set up the center point, and you do it the same way by folding once and make it, oops, I'm sorry, by folding once and squeeze it to make a nice crease. Fold it again in the other direction. Wait a minute now. There. Making sure you've got all your corners meeting. Squeeze it to make a nice crease. Then you've got your center point. Well, then you look at the images that you have found online, or if you've got the book, look at the page. I mean, if you've got the book, you can just trace the template off the page, so it's just kind of dumb. But if you're doing, if you're just looking at the screen, find the image of the block you want to copy, and you've got your center point. In this one, I looked at it, and I said, okay, the major part of the graph is they divided this square into threes. It's basically a 9-patch. And how do you make sure you've got an even third on this block, not using precision templates? You take the square and again fold it back and forth to make it pliable. You do it this way. You fold it that way and that way, and you kind of wiggle it around until you have the 3. Now you've got thirds. Take a pencil, sketch your line in over that, then do the same thing in the other direction and pencil in. Don't ink in. Don't use an ink pen at this point. Use a pencil. Pencil in the lines. Now you've got the division of the 9-patch. But this is not a 9-patch, right? It's got other stuff going on. But it's based, you've got, see, a square here, and a square here. So then you look at the design and you say, okay, and you draw in your X. You make sure not to put lines like it was tempting, for example, to continue. Let me get a pointer here. There. It's tempting to continue this little line across like that, but you use pencil so that if you do it across, so you've got your third. Then you notice that this little square is going to the center point of that. It's halfway up. You put your line in pencil, put the line in pencil. Then you look at it and you ink over the ones that are going to be your patches, and you shade in for your darker fabrics. Then, when you're done, you've got your design. Now, I haven't got to the next step yet. I'm going to use, I'll do that in a video tomorrow. I've got, again, being true to my frugal thing, making this as absolutely cost-free as possible. I'm not going out and buying freezer paper for this. I will in the future, but for this, just for fun, I'm going to stick to the brown paper that I save from my Amazon deliveries. You know, that beautiful brown craft paper? You should have a roll of that you just add to every time you get a package with that stuff in it. 'Cause you can use that for 1,000 different things. And so I'm going to sketch the blocks from here. This is my file block that I'm going to keep, my master block. I'm going to sketch onto that paper. And then I'm going to use that paper for paper piecing. See? Because that's the method I'm going to use with this is English paper piecing. I know there's other methods. They use foundation stuff and different kinds of methods. But I understand English paper piecing. It works for me, and it can be done with found materials or salvaged materials. So just for fun, that's what I'm doing. And I don't know if I'll be able to get through the whole thing, but I'm at least going to get through row A. That'll be fun. And I hope y'all stay along for the ride. I'm putting this in a playlist called Dear Jane for Dummies and Cheapskates. Dummies and Cheapskates. And that's what I'm going to do. And I don't mean that to be nasty to other people. You're not dumb, really. If you can just do a Dear Jane quilt, you are far from dumb. But I'm breaking down the old kindergarten cardboard system. I mean, when I was a kid, empty cracker boxes were our toys. So I'm enjoying my second childhood right now. Well, God bless y'all. I'm glad you're here. Glad you stayed this long. And I hope you can share this around and thumb your nose at some of the people that want you to spend $300 on a Dear Jane kit. Finished Nato. Over and out.